I was scared. My whole business as an entrepreneur is based around my reputation. And I was scared that my business was going to falter. She said, they just arrested John. They took him out in handcuffs, barefoot, and the police took him away. There's 40 or 50 police cars and a SWAT team surrounding your house. And I was like, what? Do you have the wrong number? It was so not my world. I would even say it was my worst nightmare, but I had never had a nightmare that bad. If you want to handle your challenges thoughtfully, if you want to have strong relationships, you need to train and practice to be thoughtfully fit. Thoughtfully Fit was officially launched 5 days before my husband's arrest. And all of a sudden, I became ground zero to test drive it in my own life, in the most extreme way. The concepts that I outlined that helped my clients to get through their hurdles and their challenges and to show up intentionally in their life, all of a sudden I was using on a daily basis in my own life. So the most important piece of advice for entrepreneurs, tap into your heart and what brings you joy and build your business around that. We work with teams and organizations and leaders to create high-performing people and teams. We spent 5 years researching what are the biggest hurdles that get in the way of peak performance in the workplace. And we spent years researching and developing this thoughtfully fit model. And the notion, this metaphor is, if you want to be physically fit, you need to train and practice. You can't wake up on Saturday morning and decide to do a marathon if you haven't trained and practiced. You also can't get abs of steel doing 10 sit-ups once a month. You need to be consistent. So in the same way, if you want to handle your challenges thoughtfully, if you want to have strong relationships, you need to train and practice to be thoughtfully fit. My girls were young. My husband stayed home full-time. John, he was a great dad. We decided that that was best for our family dynamic. And so for those first 2 years, I worked hard to build a successful, sustainable business while he handled things on the home front. And that worked for our family. And then the day before my 10-year wedding anniversary, I got a phone call from my neighbor. And she said, Darcy, what is going on at your house? I'm like, what? I don't know. I'm not home. I'm at a conference. Why? She said, they just arrested John. They took him out in handcuffs, barefoot, and the police took him away. There's 40 or 50 police cars and a SWAT team surrounding your house. And I was like, what? Do you have the wrong number? It was so not my world. So I found out later that my husband was arrested for sexual assault of a minor, and he was ultimately convicted to 10 years in prison. My attorney said, don't talk to anybody about anything. This is severe, this is extreme. And so I went into hiding and secrecy for about 18 months while the sentencing was happening, and it was awful. So Brava magazine is a professional women's magazine in my community, reached out and said, we want to do a cover story on this. So I made the decision to do that story, and it was transformational. Because what the exact opposite, my biggest fear was that I was going to lose clients. I now have a sex offender husband, registered felon. The exact opposite happened. People opened up, they became more vulnerable. They shared their secrets and they said, I need help. I've been living this lie and this challenge, or our team is dysfunctional and toxic and I need help. And so it strengthened the business, and it strengthened the girls and our relationship. I now was fully present in their lives in a way that I wasn't when John was there. Thoughtfully Fit was officially launched 5 days before my husband's arrest. And all of a sudden, I became ground zero to test drive it in my own life, in the most extreme way. The concepts that I outlined that helped my clients to get through their hurdles and their challenges and to show up intentionally in their life, all of a sudden I was using on a daily basis in my own life. It really just gave me a platform to try out these concepts and a resolve to be able to use them and to know that they work. Love that Dan has built this program for entrepreneurs, because what I'm doing in Strategic Coach is figuring out what's next And I am looking at it in a way that I never would have if I was not in this program. So the most important piece of advice for entrepreneurs, I think the first thing I would comment on, and it's just like tap into your heart and what brings you joy and build your business around that. I talked about doing all those interviews before I launched my business, and I had so many people say, you have to have a podcast, you have to have a podcast. So I went back to my business coach and I'm like, okay, I got to launch a podcast. And she's like, how excited are you about that? I'm like, I don't want to launch I'm not excited at all, but what does that have to do with it? That's what everybody's telling me I should do. And she's like, no, you should do what's in your heart. And I'm like, I don't want a podcast. And so like, give yourself permission to build. That's the beauty of not going to a job 9 to 5 where they're telling you what to do. You get to create what you want to do. And I'd say from the strategic coach perspective, it's like finding your unique ability. What I love about that is it's not just what you're good at, what you're excellent at, it's what also fulfills you and brings you joy. So the second piece of advice I would give for any entrepreneurs, which actually might be the first piece, is join Strategic Coach. And I know this isn't a commercial, but it's so sincere. I found this program last year in the 10th year of my business. I wish I would have found it in the first year. It is phenomenal. It's so good because it's specific to helping it. Like Dan and Strategic Coach know what are the obstacles and the hurdles that you as an entrepreneur will encounter and give, and not, it's not therapy. It's like, okay, here's the tool, here's the strategy, here's what you do to overcome that. I think the only other thing I would add is, regardless of where an entrepreneur is on their journey, start where you are and invest in yourself. And similar to Thoughtfully Fit, you train and practice where you are. And you can't bypass the hard work. I think one of the things that I've had to overcome is this feeling of, oh, I wish I had done that, or they're doing something better, or gosh, they've got a better business model. And just in Strategic Coach, it's like you don't compare yourself to others. You just look at, where am I today and what's next for me? So full permission to do that. I think that's one of the things that is a human struggle, and it's a struggle for me. And it's okay to just be on your own journey.